Hello, everyone. This is Lucretia, and welcome to another fantastic, phenomenal episode of Candid Conversations. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in. I realize that we all have incredibly busy lives. So I thank you for every moment, every opportunity that you tune in, that you like, that you share, that you subscribe, that you tell a friend. It means a lot to me. So today's candid topic is going to be centered around insufficient resources. Do you know what it's like to not have enough? That's what insufficiency means. It means that we're lacking in something or we don't have enough. So today we're going to listen in to a story with Jesus and his disciples concerning insufficient resources. In the book of Mark, chapter 8, verses 16 through 19, they began to discuss with one another the fact that they had no bread. And Jesus, aware of this, said to them, "Why do you discuss the fact that you have no bread? Do you not yet see or understand? Do you have a hardened heart? Having eyes, do you not see? And having ears, do you not hear? And do you not remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000? How many baskets full of broken pieces you picked up?" They said to him, 12. So here we have a scenario with the disciples. Once again, they had gotten on a boat to cross to the other side with Jesus because the crowd continued to follow them. Jesus had just fed a crowd of 4,000 men, including women and children as well, with 7 loaves of bread. So they crossed to the other side on a boat with Jesus, and they realized that they only had a little bit of bread. And then they begin to kind of talk amongst each other about the situation, about not having enough bread. And Jesus is like, "Don't you remember? Don't you remember who I am and what I've done?" Again, the disciples were displaying their humanity. I love how the Bible does this, to show how human the disciples were as they were walking with Jesus and how patient he was with them and how he always took the moment to teach them, because we all have a tendency to forget at times. These were 12 hand-picked men who were front and center observing the miraculous feeding of thousands on 2 different occasions using a few loaves of bread and some fish. That's it. That's all. Yet they still did not believe that they had sufficient resources when it came to meeting their needs. They demonstrated their lack of faith in Jesus because they were still worried about insufficient food for them. They totally missed the concept that Jesus was highlighting to them. Jesus essentially said, "Really? Really? After all that I've done, after all that I've shown you, really?" Do we kind of have to tell our kids that sometimes as parents, like, "Really? After all that I've done?" Well, Jesus had to remind his disciples once again, have you forgotten all the things that God has done for you? I know that sometimes I find myself in the same boat as the disciples during certain points in my life, doubting and questioning, if I have sufficient resources, knowing that I don't in and of myself, but forgetting who Jesus is when it comes to these seemingly impossible situations. I don't always feel so strong in faith, and sometimes I worry, and I have to battle against the worry. I have to come against the worry. I have to speak to myself. I have to speak the word. I have to remind myself of who Jesus is. The antidote for this, when we worry or we lack faith, is to rehearse what God has done in our lives. Rehearse his word in our lives. As we maneuver in the present, we rehearse the things that he's done in the past. This can help us to keep our faith anchored in Christ, because our faith is not in faith and our faith is not in ourselves. Our faith is anchored in Christ. Also, it's helpful to remember that God is the all-sufficient one. We are not called to be the all-sufficient one, nor can we be, but God